Good evening and welcome to our second round of the PPG IndyCar World Series Championship. Coming to you tonight from Long Beach for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. I'm Jonatan Acerclinth, and with me in the booth tonight I have Alberto Ibañez. Good evening.
Good evening, Jonathan. Good evening, everybody. Pleased to be here again for another fantastic evening of racing.
And it's promising to be an absolutely stupendous event, I think, with it being a track that caters to, let's call it the careful and the calculated.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, Long Beach is called for the reason the American Monaco, because it's a track that is also by the seaside. It's a track that is so dangerous with the walls being so close to the drivers. And at the same time, it's a very, very interesting and fun track to drive. It has some very marked characteristics, like, for example, the big front stretch that you have. It's curved, but it's called the front stretch, where the cars are reaching very high speeds there by the seaside. And at the same time, then it has that short, sweeping, confusing somehow with all the adverts that are around you inside section, where you need to be really careful with the throttle. So there's a bit of everything for everyone here. And for sure, it's going to give some great racing. All the passing, I think we're going to see it in the main street, but even so, it's absolutely fantastic racing here. I mean, you can see here really who is the precision driver and the one who is really able to take the car to the limit with absolute millimetric precision.
Very much so, and I think one of the other only real passing opportunities will be into Penthouse, the right-hander we can see at the end of the back straight. The back straight being Seaside Way and the front straight, or not so straight, being Shoreline Drive.
Yes, not really that many opportunities to pass here, because it's narrow in the rear of the track. But yeah, on the main street and on those parts that you indicated, there certainly will be. We will be seeing some very interesting things here.
Very much so. And this is a temporary road course street circuit at 1.67 miles long. The drivers will be doing 95 laps, which will eke out just under 159 miles. And I think the biggest concern for the drivers will be the fact that they need to do it on only 2 full tanks.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the fuel is limited for this race as it was in real life, and we will be seeing very different speeds than what we have been seeing in qualifying. Even so, of course, the cars will be going very quick here, but the drivers will need to be managing very carefully the fuel. I mean, everybody has been doing the training, of course, taking that into account. And the interesting thing here is what anybody is going to do about if he finds himself behind a slower driver, because, as we have said, there are not many passing opportunities. The temptation to raise the turbo boost is obviously always there. But at the same time, this is something that can be very dangerous for you, because if you raise the turbo to try to get by another driver and then miss the fuel at the end and you need another pit stop, then you might be disqualified. So it's going to require really some strategic thinking from the drivers to see what they are going to do about it. Also, the brakes are going to be paramount here, because obviously, being a street track, you got lots of heavy braking here. And it's been traditionally a track that is heavy on the transmissions, but that's not so much important here in the simulation that we are doing. The brakes, like I said, however, are something to be watching, because those who have been putting less open brake ducts in benefit of a bigger, higher top speed in the main street, they might be gambling here a bit with that.
Very much so. The one positive side, I suppose, for the drivers is that they have an unlimited use of tires. But that is a small silver lining to an otherwise fairly gloomy and grey cloud.
Yes, absolutely. That's the main thing, that they can be like spending as if there was no tomorrow. They have tires enough to really make all the tries and tests and options they want. But at the same time, I mean, what use is the amount of tires if you're only going to do only those pit stops, limited pit stops? So in the race, this is not going to be that important. In qualifying, it certainly is a relief for the drivers to have unlimited tires. Even so, with the amount of time that you have here to your avail and towback being on, because we promote realism as much as possible, you are not really going to see people doing that many attempts during the qualifying. Anyway, we are already seeing some really nice speeds, and I see John Tim is here on the track. John Tim has been really quick in the previous days. All the times that he has been registered have been always in the low 105s, and he's there in his quest for the pole. It's only 0.2 that separates him from Grant Ridal. And Richard Wilkes, with only 6 laps, has done an incredible effort so far, putting himself there in second with just those 6 laps, which is really remarkable.
It's really impressive to see some of the speeds in the background here. We will check out the grid more in depth a little bit later. We might have time. I just very quickly want to point out that the points situation is that Brian Yannick is leading after winning the last race at Phoenix on 20 points. Hillebrand is second on 16. John Tim third on 14. Ray Riddle fourth on 12. And Richard Wilkes rounds out top 5 in the championship, having scored 10 points. Now, as you say, let's head on to the server itself. We can see just at the end of qualifying some of the times, and we can see that currently Grant is leading with Wilkes second, Kirsten third, Yannick fourth, and John Tim in fifth. So I believe Yannick jumped John just a few moments ago. But you said John Tim was out on track here trying to set a quick lap.
Yeah, he just crossed the start-finish line. We can follow him for a lap if you want.
Looks like he's
No, he's actually slowing down. Yeah.
Grant
yeah,
is
session
out
is over. Session is over, actually. So that's the reason he has stopped. And it seems that things will be staying this way because Grant is on pole, and well, he was on a flying leg, whoop, and he's spinning. But that doesn't count anymore because Wilkes is not on track. Kirsten isn't either. So yeah, I think we can follow them later on. And
field looks to be not going full tilt.
Yeah, we're kicking over to practice in a moment.
Yep. So while they move over sessions, coming up here at ISO after this broadcast, which would be the next event being next week, I'm fairly certain in terms of dates. Next weekend on the Sunday we'll be doing the International AVD HMSC Flugplatzrennen. I believe it's the Mainz-Finden race circuit. I could be wrong in that. But it's the 1979 DRM Division 2 round 3 from that championship. So far it's been quite quick and hectic for most drivers in that championship. The cars are beasts, difficult to control, and some of the tracks cater more to those cars than others, shall we say. I would say the airport tracks, like the one we're heading to next, is one of the lesser catered to these cars.
Yeah, it's the second and last of the airport tracks. And not all the drivers like them so much. I know some, like for example, Italal really love it, but for most, that being constantly around tire stacks and the walls and all that makes them nervous. They don't really like that because there's so little room that you can really like enjoy yourself trying to go for the limit in these situations.
Indeed. And because we're heading into warm-up here, and we'll just be waiting for the briefing for the drivers so they know what to expect for the race. Let's have a look at the question for us this evening. Something for you to ponder for the 95 laps that is to come. Who won the inaugural Long Beach Grand Prix, a Formula 5000 event held on September 28th, 1975? Was it A, Brian Redman? Was it B, Mario Andretti? Or was it C, Al Unser? And I'd expect the answer to be given a little bit later, but I found it a very good question when I saw it, and I got it wrong. I will note.
Yeah, because it's carefully chosen because any of those could certainly have been a winner.
Indeed. So, back to the race circuit. Currently somewhat quiet. But
we're in the driver briefing.
Pardon me. We are indeed, but we will get a look at the track in a few moments' time. We are looking down roughly from turn 1 down Shoreline Drive towards Bridgestone is the sweeping right on the front stretch, and just to our left here is the pit exit. A little bit of a chicane, and then you need to keep on for the driver's right hand side of those cones all the way up to turn 1, where we can see that the pit exit more or less enters right onto the racing line. I believe that's, yeah. So that will be just a little bit of a scary proposition. Another couple of quick things just to mention ahead of this race. In the real-life event, the race was led from start to finish by Mario Andretti, who won the event henceforth. And the Penske Racing team entered 2 PC16 Ilmor Chevrolets in this event for Sullivan and Mears. The third Penske entry, driven by Anders Nilsson, that we saw exit as I began this point, is in a March 86C Cosworth setup for this particular race. So you can see the number 6 Penske with the March chassis right here, heading on to Seaside Way. We can see ahead of him is Keo Michiels driving the number 20 Patrick Racing car, a March 87C with an Ilmor power plant as well. So these two should be the Patrick Racing car should be pulling away a little bit from Anders Nilsson on this start-finish straight, and it looks like he is. Indeed. So let's jump on board here with Anders as he heads into turn 1 at Toyota. Oh, and a tight stack up there going into Michelob. We head onto this is Michelob, onto Pine Avenue. Very short run there. Keeping the left going and going and going on to Seaside Way. You can see Michiels getting very loose up front there. Up here will be Penthouse. You need to keep it quite tight because we're going back to the left at Indy left, a more or less double apex, and then into the hairpin. And back onto Shoreline Drive. Ooh, and a missed gear by Anders there.
Yeah, this is going to be dangerous because if you are continuously hitting the limiter, then you might be taking a lot of life from an engine away. But yeah, this is Shoreline Drive, and we are heading now into this chicane. Shoreline Drive actually continues, but they are being diverted over this small detour to the other avenue, and this one is connecting it with Seaside Drive, where they are heading now as they turn to the right. And this would actually go on completely if they weren't diverted as they are right now through the parking lot of the Hyatt Regency Hotel. This is where they are going now, and now they are returning to Seaside again and again here. Yeah, very close there to the barriers that have been, by the way, widened for this race. And now at the end of this avenue, this is interesting because now the penthouse, as you mentioned, this is actually a parking, as you can see by the markings there on the floor. Normally cars are parked here, but this is the way the track has always been, and they are now back to Shoreline Drive, sorry, where they are, in Formula One, they used to come from higher back there, because this is an avenue that goes down to the sea, and they went actually even further down what they are doing here before the detour. So it's an interesting track that has seen many different configurations over the years, much longer for the Formula One and going also up and down to higher levels in the streets. And for IndyCar, it has seen also many configurations. Here in the 80s and 90s, it was used like this, but then in the, I think it was in the 1980 race, they started to simply go here completely straight without going back into the parking of the Hyatts. And then we all know in the 2000s they were going further down Shoreline Drive and starting to divert all around different areas that were there. And the circuit now barring for the Shoreline Drive is probably quite irrecognizable for those who only have followed the classic racing here.
Just looking through a couple, I need to double check that I have him in the right car. Just 33, yep. Just double checking. Hillebrand currently quickest in this pre-race warm-up session, just ahead of Grant Vidal. Hillebrand driving one of the Dick Simon Racing entries, a Lola T8700 Cosser, or Cosworth. Ooh, cutting it a bit fine there. As we can see in behind, oh dear, Philip Witaszek having a bit of trouble with this Tony Bettenhausen entry. Bit heavy on the throttle there, by the looks of things. Let's see, who else do we have? Well, Philip Witaszek is quite quick in that Tony Bettenhausen car though, number 16, if a bit erratic. I noticed even quicker so far is Austin Birchfield in the number 11 Gallus entry. I'll need to double check identification for that one, because I'm not sure which car he is, which chassis he's driving tonight.
You mean who? Sorry?
Austin Birchfield.
It's a March 87.
It's an 87.
With the, yes, it's an 87. With the Jude engine. Honda, actually. So they were labeled back then.
So drivers switching positions in this warm-up. We have Richard Wilkes now fastest in the number 71 Hemmelgarn entry, a March 87C, a newest March. Let's see, who else do we have here tonight? Salvatore Sirignano, I believe, is driving for the first time in one of the Penske's here. He would be in a PC16 tonight, driving the old Mias car. Not the fastest car, but I think around this place it shouldn't be overly haltered by the way the Penske chassis works. Let's see, who else do we have that haven't been racing last time out. We have Simon Wattman again, having had a moment in warm-up, but he is driving the Newman Teamworks entry tonight, number 51. That is a Lola T86 with a Cosworth power plant. And Jijali Kovac is also driving a one-off car in the form of a Machinists Union entry, a March 86 C with a Cosworth power plant. And we are now heading into the race session. So we'll be having one formation lap, and then the drivers will be racing. And my broadcast assistant is currently here. Hey, Lucy.
You mean the other one?
The other one, indeed. My usual broadcast assistant might be the right way of putting it.
I'm actually the color commentator, so I can give the spot to Lucy.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
Right. So, I was already lining up behind the safety car.
Yep. So, on pole, we will see Grant Riddall in the mean teams in the Rainer Racing entry. Second on the grid is Richard Wilkes for Hemelgarn. Just move that out of the way. Easy. There we are. Third will be Niklas Kirsten in the True Sports number 1 entry. Fourth on the grid, Brian Yannick for Curb Racing. Fifth, John Tim for Craco Racing, the Michael Andretti car. Sixth on the grid is Ruben Fernandez in the Doug Shearson Racing entry. Nicholas Hillebrand lines up 7th for Dick Simon Racing. Giovanni Santorame lines up 8th for Arciero Racing. Juha Bors is 9th for AJ Foyt Enterprises, and rounding out the top 10 is Alberto Jr., Alberto Equino in the Patrick Racing car. 11th is Ray Riddall for Dick Simon Racing. 12th is Austin Birchfield for Gallus Racing. 13th is Salvatore Sirignano in the, I believe, first of the Penske's on the grid. 14th will be Rob De Vries for Machinists Union Racing. 15th for David Saber for Vince Granatelli Racing. 16th for Keo Michiels in the second of the Patrick Racing entries. David Wattman will line up 17th for Alex Morales Motorsports. Bruno Chacon is 18th for Leadcard Racing. Robin DeVos is 19th in the second of the Gallus Racing cars. Jason White lines up 20th for Newman Haas. Philip Vitacek, who was quick in warm-up, lines up 21st for Bettenhausen. Simon Wattman is 22nd for Newman Teamworks. Jajeli Kovac, 23rd for Machinist Union. Jules Bouchard, 24th in the Penske. Anders Nilsson, 25th in the Penske. And last...
And the safety car is in.
And they are getting
We'll
ready.
Be getting the green flag any moment.
There we are,
yes,
green flag
there
is
you
out.
go.
Oh, and some contact already. Someone in the background there. I think it was one of the Gallus Racing entries with a damaged car. Let's see what we get into turn 1. It will be quite hectic, I'm sure. Looks like everyone survived, but I think it's Austin Birchfield who has lost his front wing. We can see Grant Riddall in the lead, Kirsten second, Wilkes third, Tim fourth, Yannick fifth, as everyone else streams through. And Nilsson making his way up the field quite nicely there. I know he
Grand
did
Prix certainly losing no time there, opening a gap.
Indeed, I know he did a very quick lap in qualifying, but was disqualified for some kind of mishap in the pits. But he should be able to make his way up the field fairly well, if maybe a little bit unwillingly, considering the amount of fuel that everyone will have available to them. But end of lap
Really
1.
bad start. Really bad start for Artin Borghild, who is now probably heading to the pits to get the front wheel back. Yeah, there you go. It's out of the track now.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for him. He had a good starting position and good opportunity, but his hope will be some attrition from now on, and hopefully some good fuel usage from his Brabham Honda.
And the one that is really driving very aggressively, overtaking a lot and gaining positions is Filip Witasek, because he gained many positions over the start of the race, and now he's trying to put some pressure there on David Saber. And it's quite remarkable because he's driving a Euro chassis. That's the 86 model of the March.
Well, I think around this place the downsides of the 86 chassis isn't as big as it would be around, say, a super speedway like. Oh, look at that! The drive he got out of there. He might be boosting up.
Certainly, it's more important how the driver is able to manage the car over this very complicated track. Also, Anders Nilsson, who had started last, I think also due to some world qualification problems, is now already 18th, which is already a nice progress.
Indeed he is, and looking for a way past Keo Michiels now. But knowing Anders, he will be fairly calculated, knowing roughly what he needs to do to get up. Obviously, probably won't be looking for a win here tonight with that starting position, but a good finish nonetheless. As long as the car holds up, I'm sure he'll be able to maintain.
Very impressive from Grand Rital. He has opened a 5 seconds gap already, which is incredible.
Indeed. I wouldn't be surprised if he just wants a bit of a gap and then be able to use that to effectively be safe and just boost back and drive nice and calm.
Maybe. Although the way that he is doing, I don't know how he will be able to compensate if he is using even more fuel, but yeah, I'm sure because he prepares the races very well that he has a good strategy. He knows what he's doing. Other than that, I think everything is going as expected because the top of the races there is him, is Wilks, is Kirsten, is John Tim, who is also very quick, and Hillebrand also behind them. So Brian Janik there is making his debut now with a Skull Bandit car, being hounded by Ruben Fernandez, who is also a very quick driver. And really, this all makes me wonder how these guys are really complying with the fuel use.
Well, it's one of those where we will have to wait and see. They will need to make it to roughly lap 47, I believe.
Yes, with only one pit stop, it's going to be for sure towards mid of the race, probably slightly more, because we can see that some drivers, due to traffic, are going to be able to stretch it a bit more, and also because the car is so heavy on fuel at the beginning, it might go a bit more of a distance. It depends on how quick they are once they start losing the fuel and if they dial the push bar or not, but we will see that, yes.
Indeed. It seems my broadcast assistant wants something, so this looks like the battle to be had at the moment, so we'll be keeping the camera on Jon Tim in his battle with Niklas Kirsten and Niklas Hillebrand. And saying that...
There goes Hillebrand. Ooh! I don't think the team was expecting that.
There.
Yeah, even if he was a bit inviting, I should say, in his move. I mean, he really opened the... I don't blame Hillebrand for thinking that team was moving away. I just hope they didn't get any damage from that. But I think there was a bit of a driver misunderstanding there.
Indeed. So with that, I'll... let's see, are there anyone else where there's... Oh, Saber and Co is having a bit of a battle a little bit further back with Little Al. While I just check what Lucy wants, I'll keep the camera here and I'll be right back.
Well, our main commentator is shouting to his cat in Norwegian, which I absolutely don't understand. We can still keep following the race because the camera is focused here in David Saber and Little Al. And they are negotiating here the back part of the track. And I don't think that there are really many hostilities running here because I know for sure that Little Al is going to play conservatively. He doesn't want to get involved in incidents or anything like that, and I think that David is also trying to gauge what the fuel consumption is all about, so they are short shifting the car quite some. They are not really trying to go for the ultimate edge, and I think that both of them are happy with the pace that they are having, and that means that there are going to be no overtaking attempts here. But a different story is what happens behind them, because Keijo Michiels and Anders Nilsson are really coming. Oh, and we see there's another car that was there stranded. Oh, yes, that's a newcomer. That's Kovacs on the Group 44 car. He has lost the front wing. I'm not sure what this is about, but there's a bit of a bottleneck here with Jason White, Robin DeVos, and Bruno Chacon coming here. Good move from Kovacs here, letting them all go by. But yeah, Erdely Kovacs is surely heading now for the pits because it's really difficult to drive without the front wheel. It seems that, at least for the moment, the situation has been saved.
Let's see if we can find what happened to. Oh, he had been in the pits already for something or other, and coming out, he he wanted to get out of the way a bit too much, and unfortunately smacked the pit exit wall and lost the wing, and will have to enter the pits again, unfortunately. Still though.
Oh, Little Alice, they're making a move on David Saber in the end. Maybe there was some kind of difficulties for David, some kind of driver error there. And now David is being attacked by Keijo Michiels, and don't forget Anders Nilsson, who is very quick and is coming right up from behind. This is really now a hot spot in the race at this moment.
Yes, indeed, and it was Equino, Little Al, passing around outside at turn 1. They then ran side by side through 2, and then finally at turn 3, Little Al was able to secure the position. But like you say, the battle is now on for technically 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th. And Saber in a Patrick Racing sandwich, and I think he won't like that much at all, because here comes Michiels boosting up with that Ilmor Chevrolet and pulling past. Slam dunk, easy does it, and don't think he'll be able to answer that. Who has to say that though, he's quite late on the brakes, but not able to make that one work. He loses one more position here.
We will see now if the pace from Little Al and Keijo Michiels is really that much better, now that they are not like being stopped somehow by David. Anders Nilsson, well, the way he has caught up with all of them, we can sure tell that he's much quicker. So we'll see. Oops, Some action with the lapped car.
Unfortunate timing there for Saber, but I think he holds on. That was Kovac back out to the pits again, and unfortunately this track is not very kind to lappies. No room to move anywhere really, you just need to try and time it as best you can. Owen Anders with a great run out of the final hairpin. And down Shoreline Drive, surely he'll be able to go past. Through Bridgestone here, he does. And Saber down to 16th. Owen up ahead.
Oh, and Keio is also passing Little Al now.
Almost look like...
And I can see we got several things going on in the track, because there is also a very hot battle going on between Centorame and Ruben Fernandez and Brian Janik. So it seems that drivers are paired in three-way, and they are really having some fights here in the track.
I noticed further back in the field, Robin DeVos just passed Jason White. Ooh, as Fernandez, how close do you like it? Right up underneath the gearbox of Yannick in the hairpin. As Jason White has even retired. Whatever happened to Jason?
Right now, Anders on the brakes also passed Little Al. So he's up now, and Little Al is 15, and now having to defend again from David Saber.
Oof. Looks like Jason unfortunately brake too late for turn 1, locked up and hit the wall very hard indeed. Nadas now has caught up to Keo Michiels, and he has passed Little Al. I wonder if Little Al may have made a mistake somewhere, as Jos Bouchard lets the faster cars by.
I think he simply does not have that pace. He was really concerned with the fuel saving thing, but if further into the race he feels that he has more fuel to spare, maybe we can see him go quicker. I mean, this is right now, fuel is, as I said, a paramount problem in this race, so the guys that have found the best combination to be able to go quick and save it are the ones that are really going now at the top.
Jon Tim in the meantime does the fastest lap of the race. Fuel is burning off, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues in terms of fastest laps from Jon. As I notice, Juha Boos has had a rather lackluster opening to the race as well. He's down in 20th in the AJ Foyt Cup. Though in some sense, I suppose, is relatively correct. I've always considered AJ as more of an oval driver than a road course driver, but I could obviously be very wrong in that.
Well, when he was that age already, I think you are absolutely right. He had probably lost a bit of his edge in road racing, but don't forget that he was actually co-winner at Le Mans with Dan Gurney. So he certainly knows his way around going quick on the road courses. But yeah, this time he was obviously mostly focused in the ovals, and he was in
Fernandez. Past Yannick. And Centorame trying to follow through too. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh.
Yannick looks to be holding on
more
ahead of
interesting
Centorame at the moment. Please feel free to continue. Sorry for that.
No, I was just saying that the main interest of AJ Foyt back then was to actually keep it up, being there for Indy, because he always wanted to get that 5th in the win, that in the end didn't happen. In any case, it's interesting what we're seeing here, because I'm pretty sure that the raw speed of the guys that we are seeing on the track is not exactly in the same pecking order as what we are seeing now. What we're seeing here is who is able to combine best going quick with being able to save the fuel and make it in the desired amount for the race.
Indeed. Hillebrand looking for a move on Kirsten. Kirsten got held up during a lapping, and ooh, side by side through turn 1. Hillebrand round outside passes Kirsten for 3rd. That was very tight. They navigated that very well. John Tim have seen that and will surely be looking at it thinking, I can have some of that. Let me catch up.
We know we're 14 laps into the race.
We are indeed, and
They
it's
not even have seen. Whoa, Bruno Chacon just missed the braking point, and he went down as he's reversing carefully. Oops.
that was very
Hit the
close,
wall
but I
back
think
there.
he avoided the wall and the tires, and he'll be able to continue.
Yeah, well, if there's one point where you have to miss the braking point, that's probably this is the best one.
Yeah, as
Because
long
there
as
is
you
a big
realize
run
you've done
after.
it and go straight.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting to note as well, in this race, the top 4 cars at the moment are Lola cars, Lola chassis.
Although I think it's pure coincidence because the main advantage of the Lola is at the big speedways because it's a bit more slippery, but it's also more on the steery car. So I know the March 87 specifically is the more agile car, and in road courses at here particularly, it should be actually going well. Actually, Wilkes is running in a March 87.
Oh, I do apologize.
Grant is in the Lola, Nicholas Hillebrand also, which is Bobby Rahal's cars, and Nicholas Kirsten too. But yeah, Wilkes is using a March.
do apologize, Richard. I missed you in the list when I was quickly checking the chassis and driver combination there.
Ruben Fernandez and Brian Janik are also using Lolas. March, and Giovanni Centorame is too. So, yeah, I mean, in any case, the differences between all these cars, the chassis are really, really very small. Drivers can certainly make up for the shortcomings in the chassis, so it's not something that you can label as absolutely decisive.
Oh, indeed, but it's an interesting aspect though to consider. Looks like there's a battle coming up here between Rob de Vries and Anders Nilsson in for 12th and 13th. Anders continuing his slow, consistent rise towards the front of the field. Oh, someone has had a bit of an off there, rear and front wing. Probably Austin Birchfield, I imagine, considering Austin has retired, and Anders flies past Rob de Vries up to 12th. Looks like quite the off for Austin, unfortunately. So they may possibly catch the moment there. He was running right up behind Grant, understeered in the dirty air behind him, and hit the outside barrier, lost the wings, and slammed into the inside barrier, bursting the engine, unfortunately. So 2 retirees so far, in the form of Birchfield and Jason White.
And Little Al is now putting some pressure on Keio Michiels, and I think that this illustrates a bit what's going on, because they probably were on a similar pace. Keio was speeding up thanks to boost, and he passed everybody, but now he realized that he cannot go on like this with a full consumption, so he's now falling into the clutches of Little Al.
Indeed, and both of them are using the Ilmor Chevrolet engine, which is, to be fair, the most powerful engine in the field, but maybe
it's a bit more powerful. It's also a bit less reliable.
I imagine
that's
less
mostly
frugal
probably
as
on
well.
500 milers.
Yeah.
well spread out in the case of the top three. It's only John Tim and Nicholas Kirsten that are actually close together. Rest, they are certainly doing their own race. I mean, Grant is already on a 6 seconds lead over Richard Wilkes, who himself is 3 seconds ahead of Nicholas Hillebrand. Juan Fernandez doing a fantastic race there in 6th. Giovanni Santoran. Ryan Janik now boxed behind Bruno Chacon, trying to lap.
There he goes. Then we have Filip Vitosek, and I would say one of the more impressive drives at the moment will be Salvatore Ciringiano, who I noticed wrote a few hours ago, this track is so confusing to me. We'll see if I feel safe enough to properly enter. And look at this, in 10th at the moment.
Yeah, he's driving the Penske's.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Just as I say that, he hits the inside barrier and the outside, loses both front and rear wings. I'm so sorry, Salvatore.
And then we'll get again the comments about the commentator's course.
Oh, indeed. I'll fully accept that one. That is most unfortunate. He was having a great drive up until that point.
Yes, he's now without the wings and he's looking like a Formula Ford, but fortunately he's already close to the pits. Indeed. At least the car is balanced, even with a lack of grip.
Indeed, and hopefully no suspension damage, simply some chassis repairs and he'll be able to continue on.
That's the problem of this Penske PC17 chassis. They had great hopes for that for the season, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. The car was a bit erratic, and even if they got the more Chevy engine, it couldn't make up for the deficiencies in the chassis. So at some point in the season they bent it in favor of the March 86 combined with the Chevy engine, and that's how they continued. Indeed, we will see lots of chassis swaps over the season. Oh, Kayumi Kies and Little Alder fighting it out. Little Al is trying to pass on the outside, and he has managed to do it. It's good for him.
Indeed, and as that was going on, Grant Woodall sets the fastest lap of the race at 109 flat, which to me sounds very quick considering the fuel limitations.
It is. I really don't know how they are doing it. Well, I know. It's called talent. But I can't explain it.
He's enjoying a almost 8.5 second lead ahead of Richard Wilkes. Almost up to lap 15th in the race, which is David Saber.
Now two of the cars that are fighting it out most closely are Keijo Mikiels and Little Al. Although Little Al seems to have been able to overtake and keep going on his own rhythm. I don't know. More people. Oh, Ciringiano seems to have finally quit the race, which is no wonder because the car was probably quite badly wrecked.
Indeed. I do apologize, Salvatore. That was very unfortunate timing indeed.
So, like I said, besides those two, not a lot of action there in the track. Actually, Rob De Vries, Little Al, and Keijo Mikiels are the one closest together. And we are about halfway, so much, but even halfway through the stint, the first stint. As you said, cars should be stopping around lap 47-ish, something like that. And Little Al is catching up with Rob De Vries. He seems to be getting
Oh
in
no!
the
Kill me
groove.
Keels! Big off.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed it in the background there. Looks like he took a bit too much on the inside on the turn 2 left-hander. He did indeed, and out into the outside barrier, and big damage to the car, unfortunately. Really unfortunate. Keel was driving a great race, but one of those things on a street course. You take just an ounce more liberty than you're given, and it'll bite your hand off straight away.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it goes here. There's still some drivers that love street courses like the Telal, but personally, me, I don't really like them so much because, as you say, everything requires so much concentration. And it's so little forgiving that the experience is certainly hair-raising at the very least.
Yeah, one of the strange people who enjoy a street course. To me, it's one of those where it just zones you in. You really, I would say, feel at one with the car and the track.
Oops. What happened here? Ah, okay, with Little Al, because I was watching and wondering what happens here with Little Al. He was letting the leader go by. I mean, the leader is lapping Little Al, who is in 13th position. In any case, this is good for the cars being lapped because that's one lap more of fuel that they have.
Indeed, so, as long as the car that lapped them finishes.
That's right.
Which is one of those unfortunate things that can happen in this race, that you may be lapped by a faster car, but then the faster car may break down and run out of fuel.
If you were counting on finishing the race on that and you lose that lap again, then it will be problematic.
Indeed. Slowly and surely, Anders Nilsson in 11th is catching up to Ray Riddall in 10th, but it is a slow catch for Anders, but he can see Ray on Seaside Avenue, so I'm sure he'll be happy to be able to see his prey at least. It looks like everyone else is more or less spread out quite considerably, apart from 4th and 5th here, in the form of Jon Tim and Niklas Kirsten. Let's jump on board the T-Cam here, on board Jon Tim's Quaker Racing entry, as he will have to try and navigate Simon Wattmann's Newman Haas entry, and he does it very well indeed. I'm not sure he lost any time.
Yeah, good coordination there. Good coordination there among Swedes.
We do have a seventh sense for knowing what another Swede will do. But that
which actually, excuse me, but well, while you were actually leaving the broadcast to shout at your cat, I told in the broadcast that you were Norwegian, and it was a complete mental lapse. I hope you don't take that as an offense.
No, I don't. The Norwegians are a kind and friendly folk.
Okay.
Here they go, lapping Saber, who nicely lets both of them past. It does look like both Niklas and John is just starting to struggle a tiny bit with their rear tires.
Whatever the case, Jon Tim seems to be catching up with Kirsten. That's for sure. The distance was for sure a bit higher laps before.
Well, this might be the point in the race where the slightly more nimble aspects of the March chassis, especially the 87 variation that Tim is driving here, has a bit of an advantage against the Lola ahead of him.
Yeah, one of the things that is also interesting to note is that obviously the cars are evolving as they are losing the load of fuel. The setup of a driver might be very good at the beginning of the stint and not so much towards the end. So you always need here to have a balance, but some drivers like to favor a part of the stint specifically. So that's also likely the reason why we are seeing here a bit of the spring effect, accordion effect. People are coming close or getting more at a more distance. And it's, look at here, John Tim is interesting how he's using nearly the full rev range. So he doesn't seem to be sparing too much, saving too much. Maybe on boost, but certainly not on RPMs.
Indeed. That is a very interesting aspect that you bring up. I've always, not deliberately, but always tended to be very favorable towards the latter half of the race. More or less, especially when it comes to open wheel cars. One of the reasons being that I very rarely, while you may have the opportunity to change the anti-roll bars and stuff in the car, I very rarely have that mapped. It's a personal preference. And,
yeah, you don't want to be like distracted.
Sorry?
You don't want to be distracted by those things during the racing.
No, indeed. So my setups are usually very well set for the latter half of the race, and it's done me fairly well personally. But it looks like, for now, that the gap is increasing again between Kirsten and Jon Tim. It might have been a lapping that allowed Jon to creep as close as he did. Now notice, where is Richard Wilkes? Well,
11th, something there happened. Yeah, something happened there, something weird, we missed it.
Just going to quickly draw it back and see if it happened on this particular lap. It didn't.
Actually, Grand Prix is about to lap him.
I wonder if he missed a braking zone somewhere. It's too far back for me to get it on the broadcast, but something must have happened.
There was a car with an accident there, I believe. That's Rob de Vries, actually.
Oh dear, and out of the race he goes. Oh, big off at Penthouse. Oh, we lost a wing already, maybe at entering Seaside Drive. Seaside Avenue, yes he did. Understeered into the wall, lost the rear wing, and I don't think was aware of it. Ended way too quickly down into Penthouse and hard into the outside barriers there.
And I think this is something, a bit of a Lola trait, because those cars are more understeery, and probably while the driver isn't conscious of that, he's overusing a bit the front tires. And as the stint progresses, you run out of front tires, and this is what happens. I mean, in the end, you are understeering against the wall.
Indeed, indeed.
Interesting. I see Ruben Fernandez now signaling for the pits, but that's maybe one of those situations where the team crew is telling him that, but he's not really going, because I don't see damage or anything like that in his car. Let's see, because he's now going close by to the pit entry. Let's see what he does. But he's not cancelling that pit request, so I gather it's an automatic response.
Very likely. One thing that was noted is that someone may try an offshoot strategy, but we'll see. Alice Nilsson in the meantime has passed Ray Rideau in the Dick Simon car and is up to 9th. and only 3.5 seconds or so behind Filip Vitacek in the Bettenhausen entry. So still making slow and steady progress up the field.
Yeah, I see many cars with the icon for the pit stop, but that's likely because the pit crew is thinking that they are already in need of a stop, but I don't think that's the case, obviously, because we should be waiting until, as you said, lap 47, 48, something like that, before we see the first pit stops.
Indeed. It's interesting to note that Grant is steadily increasing his lead. Maybe Hillebrand is being more careful with lappings, but 13 and a bit seconds now is the lead for Grant.
Yeah, 12 seconds for Grant is really a big lead.
Robin de Vos, we could see there, just past David Wattman, I believe that was. If I noticed that correctly. It was a lap down from the leaders, but still battling hard. Someone lost the front wing. I believe it may be Juha who lost the front wing.
Yeah, he's in the pits, so that's due to damage indeed. But it's not properly scheduled pit stop, and it's unfortunate because he will have to stop again later in the race. And also be very careful about how much fuel he puts in that next pit stop.
Indeed.
Yeah, there's repairs and he's losing positions. Very unfortunate. Not really a great season so far for Juha.
No,
okay, coming out of the pit stop now.
No, but then again, things can happen to turn it around on its head very quickly indeed. And Ray Vidal now being caught by Richard Wilkes. This is a Lola against March. And this late in the stint, I'd imagine, like I said earlier, but I was wrong, but I'd imagine the March is at least nicer to drive than the Lola.
Unless Wilkes has had some damage, I can tell you that the race pace was obviously quicker in the case of Wilkes, so he should be able to get by. If there was just a simple mishap with a braking zone or something like that, then I guess Wilkes is able to go as quick as ever and should be able to get by Rai. Ah, there you go. Let's see. Speeding up. Yeah, it's complicated because of the king here. And Rai is probably not sure about what Wilkes is going to do, but he didn't make it complicated either. So very gentlemanly from him.
And in the meantime, Grant did another fastest lap of 1:08.7. Highly impressive and highly quick.
It's like I said, I have no idea how he's coping with the fuel. I mean, there is no trick here. If he's able to make it to the half race with one tank, then we know for sure that he's doing the expected fuel consumption. If he's doing an early pit stop, now that's something different, because that means he needs to do a very long second stint, and he should be then trying to save some fuel to make him much slower. So I think the key to this race is going to be when Grant approaches lap 45.
Wow, 1:08.5 now from Grant. Well, 6, but faster yet.
Yeah, Hillebrand is half a second slower. Oh, Nicholas Kirsten, let me see that. Okay. I think he was accelerating out of the hairpin because he was quite slow. I don't think that was any kind of problem. No, he keeps the gap with Jon Tim and Ruben Fernandez. Here comes Giovanni Santorame.
Vitashek unfortunately is slightly held up by a Lapie there in the form of, I believe that was David Butman, as Juha Bors now exits the pits. That was a very long stop for repairs. He rejoins just ahead of Anders Nilsson on track. Promptly gets out of the way. I believe Anders must have had a mistake problem down the front straight, because he lost quite a lot of pace down the straight and now let Grant past. But he's lost 3 or so seconds to Philip in this opening bit of this lap. I was hoping for a battle there, but oh well. It seems Lapis indeed was Niklas' problem, because he has pulled away from Jon Tim. Possibly some fuel management earlier in the race.
It's incredible how Grant runs away. I'm looking at him and he's so much quicker in the straight. Well, we know the Lola is more slippery, but still it's quite impressive. He's going quicker and opening the gap even in the main straight. It's not just the turns, mind you, the twisty section.
We do know Grant has occasionally run quite low downforce setups, so he is a driver who can handle that kind of situation, and maybe that's exactly what he's doing here.
Juha Bors again suffering. Oh my goodness, he lost his front wing again. Oof, what a really bad day for Juha. Really, really bad day. I think he should be heading to the pits now.
Very much so. Let's jump on board here with Grant for lap or 2 to see how you handle this track. Very well indeed.
Is doing is related to how he picked the gears. You can see that the first 4 ratios are very close together, and then the 5th gear is like really long, so he accelerates very quickly, shifts very quickly, 1 gear after the other, and then he puts the 5th gear already here in the middle of the straight, of the main straight, and then he slowly climbs up the speed. If we compare with other cars, well, not sure about the Lolas, but with other cars, then we probably see that people are not using that same strategy. You can see, for example, that Nicolas Hillebrand is not using the same thing. He's shifting into 5th, for example, later on.
Interesting fuel-saving strategical choice, but it definitely seems to be working. I imagine
Yeah,
that...
and Jonatan, for example, has a much shorter fifth gear. He's nearly hitting 12,000 when he is at the end of the straight.
And unfortunately, Little Al has just retired.
Oh
just
no!
noticed on the side screen there. Let's see if we can possibly catch what happened in the broadcast. Oh, I wonder if that's an engine failure. Locked up going into turn 1, hit the barriers, and never moved from there, escaped out and retired. And Juha has decided to park up his car as well.
Yeah.
And Filip Vitacek is into pits on lap 40.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder what's going to happen later on, because that certainly seems quite early.
It will be a long, arduous last stint for him. Whereas Kirsten has passed Hillebrand. Whatever happened to Hillebrand? He had such a lead. Let's see if we can catch it on the replay here. Oh, Hillebrand had a screen freeze, I think. He just suddenly appeared in front of Niklas and out of the way, and now behind Niklas.
That's similar to what we saw with Sibagnoni and Cesarius in the last race.
Indeed. It's highly unfortunate. So close to the pit stops as well. Right up.
Not that Hillebrand is happy with the situation.
No,
he's trying to gain the position back.
Yeah, very understandable. I mean, you work so hard to get that position, and then whoops, and it's taken away from you. I suppose in the same vein, maybe he's just happy not to have hit the wall. Speaking of which, he had another moment into turn 1. Slow down a lot. Yeah, another connection. It looks like it might even be connection issues. Or hardware related, but either way he is currently dropping back, unfortunately. Just hope for his sake it doesn't continue, as someone has lost the front wing, and it does continue. He has another moment and loses another position. Whatever is going on for Nicholas. Oof. That must be so
Richard Wilkes also in the pits. Richard Wilkes also in the pits. That's lap 41. That's also quite a bit early.
Let's see if he might have lost the front wing that I noticed. No, yeah, he seems to be without a rear wing, so he had a moment in the final turn. Well, that's why he's in.
That's unfortunate, because yeah, he should now be trying to do the rest of the race like this, but 54 laps, that's going to be a tall order.
Oh, he just cut it a bit too fine, exiting the final hairpin and smacked the rear end against the wall, and the rear wing got plopped off by the wall. Sabre up to 11th then, and Robin de Vos will be up to 12th. I believe David Wattman will climb to 13th as well. Brian Yannick has fallen back, as has... Yeah, Brian Yannick has fallen back quite a bit, down to 9th. Not sure what happened to him, but he has dropped back as well. And Nielsen then up to 7th with that. And Hillebrand is out!
Yes, Hillebrand clipped the wall on before the hairpin.
Oh dear. Oh, and he was trying to lap, looks like Jules Bouchard. Oh, and he had a bit of contact with him and out into the wall, lost the rear wing. And then span to the inside and lost the front wing as well. I would call that frustration with the issues he was having with the connection and just cutting it a bit too fine with the lap car. Condolences, Juha, on your retirement, but I suppose in some ways it's a relief to not be out there any longer.
Well, I was annoyed losing one front wing. Losing a second was even more annoying, and I think I lost 2 more and then I gave up. I was just trying too hard and hit the wall a few times, so better to stop than get in someone else's way.
Yeah, we were mentioning that the Lola has its advantages, but it's a car that tends to understeer more. If you are like trying to push it in narrow places like this one, I don't know if you were like feeling that.
Yeah, as soon as I tried harder, well, I'd say it understeered a bit, but most of it was my own stupidity because I flipped the inside wall a few times. So. I'm not gonna blame it on the car. It was purely me.
Fair enough. Well, at least you get to watch a pretty good race overall. Looks of things, it's still going on and we're just heading towards the pit stops. We're lap 46. If Grant does, let's say, 2 more laps, he's pretty much home and done, as long as the car holds up and he keeps it between the concrete.
Somebody's spitting, but I don't know if that's a retired car or... I see John Team is signaling pits, but he's still have to do a lap.
Yeah, we're about the midpoint of the race, so this is certainly the moment where pit crews are getting nervous. But in the case of Grant, it's absolutely incredible that he's able to keep this pace and at the same time have the fuel consumption in check. We were wondering if he was actually like speeding up a lot now and trying then with a very wide gap to manage things on a longer second stint, but no, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Oh, definitely not. He seems to be having the speed, yes.
In the meantime, Ray Riddle was passed while he let Ruben Fernandez past. Brian Yannick making use of that. Oh, as Ruben Fernandez just slightly grazes the outside barriers there, heading onto Seaside Avenue.
I think also Wilkes is in the pits again. I mean, he's exiting right now in front of David Saber.
He lost the front wing earlier when he was in front of me.
Yeah, I saw that, but I think he's again.
He pitted again, yes. Yes. I'll try to see what happened there. Maybe
I believe it may have been the end of the same stop where he lost the rear wing at the final hairpin for the leaders about 2 or 3 laps ago.
Could well be. I'll try to find out if it's that.
Good, thank you. Obviously we have Vitashek here who pitted very early, but he'll have a very long last stint and it looks like he is trying hard to keep the pace up and catch up to Ray.
Yes, and that Wilkes' stop was need 1 for losing the rear wing.
So a very long pit stop, maybe some suspension repairs as well.
Probably. Interesting, lost the front wing while clipping the inside wall, which is quite peculiar.
And here comes Grant into the pits. On lap 48, right on cue.
Yeah, Kirsten is signaling pits.
Here comes Nilsson as well. A lap down, but
Fernandez leaving pits.
Fernandez pitted a lap earlier on lap 47.
So Centram is also leaving pits.
Kirsten comes into the pits. Robin de Vos continues.
And Ray is also heading for the pits.
See what
The number
Yannick does.
32 car.
Chacon looks to be going into the pits indeed.
Janik continues. Let's see, Jan.
Yeah. Riddle, Ray comes into the pits. Vitashek continues and will go past Ray at least.
But Janik had I'm not going to say pitted, but he had a very long lap, somewhere around lap 38 and 39. So maybe pitted for something unscheduled?
Who did you say?
Janik.
So he did pit. I was wondering why he dropped back. I wonder if maybe he pitted that early. Then.
Yeah,
that seems
it
very
looked
early.
like a pit stop. So, and he's now harassing
to
Grant
unlap
for some
himself.
reason. Yes.
Which I think will be a stretch, but obviously Grant will need a lap or two to get the tyres properly up to temperature. And Fernandez is right behind Jon Tim now after the pit stops.
Oh, Janik. Janik was trying a bit too hard there. That looked like a very close shave. Somebody else in the pits. Look. See who that is. Saber is... No, not Saber, sorry. That was David Watman was in the pits.
Fernandez giving Jon Tim a real hurry up.
Yeah, the Vos misshifted, that's why he got a bit in the way there.
Thus looks like Jon Tim will be passed here. At some point, Fernandez looking very racy in behind. Both of them in the latest March chassis, so, and the same power plant, so drivers will have to make
absolutely
difference.
even.
Pardon?
Absolutely even.
Yes.
And Fernandez with a bit of a lackluster run through the hotel car park there, but good run onto Seaside Avenue still and caught back up. Racing the wall just slightly, trying to open up the turns as much as he possibly can.
Yeah, although this here is the turn that he should be like, oh, Tim, that was really close. And the car got, yeah, turned around the car, but it got moved. Struck there the wall with the rear tire. But it seems it's obvious that Jon Tim has a higher top speed here. So it's no wonder that Ruben Fernandez is catching him up in the braking and in the rear, because it's obvious that Tim has less wing than Ruben. So in this section, Ruben is obviously at an advantage, and the opposite occurs for John Tim. But it's very frustrating for Ruben Fernandez because you are constantly there, unable to pass because it's so narrow and you're bottled behind him in this twisty section. And then when you come to the main street and you are there and you accelerate so well out of the last corner, you only to find out that John Tim is, very close. Only to find out that John Tim is running away from you thanks to his bigger top speed.
Yeah, maybe the solution is to, for once, crank up the boost on the straight, get by, and then run away in the middle bit. And hopefully build up enough a gap so John doesn't come back. Ooh.
That's trying a bit
this
too
won't
hard.
help. This won't help there.
That was very fortunate. That was very close to disaster for both of them. But like you say, that might very well be worth an attempt. I would even say doing it on the Seaside Avenue part and just try to blast through the final.
Yeah, I think Fernandez clipped the wall there again.
Both of them trying very hard.
Yes. I have the impression with the seconds closing in on Nilsson. The gap's down to 8/10 now.
Interesting if they are indeed closing up to each other. They are.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, with the shit goes for it. Well, takes him.
Yeah, that must be a boost thing.
Likely,
that
yes.
much quicker down straight. But I think Anders knows exactly what he's doing in terms of fuel. I'm not sure Philip is as secure.
I just got word from Little Al about what happened to him, and it seems that because he's using the H pattern shifter and he missed the shift when reducing the gears, and he went into a lower one, and that's what locked the rear for him and made him spin and into the wall. Jonatan.
That's we'll queue that up as a in a race. It would be a gearbox failure. I think one of the most amusing gearbox failures I've seen in real life was a Saab driver who was first away from the line in a folk race event I was watching. I wasn't driving at the time, and then went to pull out of first gear into second, and he got the gear lever stuck in his hand. The whole the gear lever itself just broke away from the mounting, and he was stuck in first gear. As Nilsson lets Kirsten pass there. He was revving the living daylight out of that Saab for the whole race. Finished last, but it was interesting to watch.
But the Sex's already 4 seconds away from Nilsson, so that's quite a different strategy they're applying.
Indeed, and
some
of that time was Nilsson letting Kirsten by.
Yeah.
But definitely
both on the
pace
same car.
difference.
Yes, but definitely both 86s. Oh, somebody's in the wall.
That's
Yeah.
Penske.
Oh, that's Bugard without a front wing.
Yeah.
That's one of the PC-16s. Not the easiest car to drive. Sirignano made the most of it for the opening 20 laps. Grant looks to be taking it just a little bit easier in the stint. Only just under 20 seconds left of his lead. I noticed earlier it was out to a good 22 or so seconds, I believe. So Kirsten, at the moment, doing his best to try and catch up.
Bouchard in the pits, obviously.
Oh, Fernandez! All loose, but collected it and brought it back together. Dropped back from Jon Tim he has, but still driving. Maybe all those graces with the walls is taking the toll out of the car now. And that's why he's dropped back from Jon. Might also explain why he was all crossed up. That car definitely looks like it's crabbing. That definitely looks like a bit of a crooked wheel.
I missed this little incident. Where did it happen?
Ruben Fernandez got all crossed up in through penthouse, and I just jumped onto the T-cam view, and he does seem to be driving with a crooked wheel. So presumably the left rear is out of alignment for him.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate, but he has a big gap to the car behind, so as long as he can keep it off the walls further.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when he comes now to the big braking zone at the end of the short lane drive.
Indeed.
If the car resists it, then probably he can make it till the end of the race. But
last lap he was able to keep it together, so as long as he just backs it off a few percentages. Oh, that looks very sketchy, but for now it looks controllable at least. I wonder if that's one of the times where you go as a driver, someone heads into the pits there. Must be a car a few laps down. It's Jajeli Kovac's.
Yes.
But I wonder if that's one of the times where you as a driver in the form of Ruben goes like, I wonder if I should smack the rear right onto the wall. You see if it's in total straightens the car out again.
I wouldn't advise it.
It's a very advanced strategy that has a lot of downsides.
There's a lot of parts to rip off these cars, so I wouldn't try it.
And another gap that is
coming out of the pits. He opted for repairs and he's coming out of the pits. Good to see him sticking to the race.
Indeed. And another gap that is coming down is the gap between Yannick and Centorame. Now down to below 3 seconds. As they go down Shoreline Drive.
And Grant is about to lap his own father, who is in 9th.
Which I believe may be for the second time this race.
Not sure. Could be. So we're about 2/3 into the race.
Indeed, and down below 1.5 seconds between Yannick and Centorame. This battle will be coming very quickly, and I will just have to leave for a moment. Lucy seems to need some kind of attention. Be right back.
Definitely, Brian Janik has Centorami in his side.
Yes, they both. I think it was Bruno Chacon they passed there. Was it?
Mhm.
Sorry, Ray Vidal. Excuse me. And I think Witasek is signaling pits.
Well, that will be already a third time or something like that because he has been for repairs and that. Probably not happy with how the car is handling.
Yes, let's see how long this one lasts.
Oh, and I can see that Brian has a bigger top speed than Centorame, although maybe he's using the boost, but look at that.
Oh, nearly,
He
nearly.
nearly passed him. He
Witasek-
just showed him. He
Witasek
said
didn't-
he basically telegraphed him, look, I'm here, and I'm going to try to pass you sooner than later. Maybe trying to
Really
force
close.
Centorame into an error.
Oh, it's already going for it. No, still no. Still selling a dummy. Trying to unsettle Centurame.
Yeah, unless Centorame really gives up like easily. But he's basically signaling him is, look, I'm setting you up. So be careful. Don't slam the wall on me.
Oh. Well, there we go. No, comes back.
Not yet over. Not yet over. There you go. No, I think with the bigger top speed, he should basically now take here a good wide angle, like he's doing.
Yeah,
A good exit from here, and now boost up if needed. And pass him there on the brakes.
Although I think Centurame has also understood the message. He's getting closer, but not that close.
Yeah, he's
still,
okay.
yeah,
He's
still
keeping
got
his
it.
lane.
Yeah. Okay, can we retaliate now? Which is unlikely given the... Oh, Witasek in the pits. Witasek is pitting, and that looks like a very long stop. That's a very, very long stop. Yeah,
It's
there we go.
interesting that it's interesting that Centorame doesn't seem to be losing that much ground now. Oh, okay, now it does. So definitely Janik is quicker in the straights. That's what he had been.
Witasek at a very long, well, reasonably long stop. Maybe he accidentally forgot to switch damage repair off. Oh, and then he gets...
Yeah, could be.
Someone is having a long pit stop, you say?
Witasek had a not that long pit stop, but looked longer than just changing tires. But we'll see when he gets to the end of the lap. See how much he lost.
Looks like some, maybe up towards 40 seconds, based on the difference between him and Nielsen.
Yeah, that's about the time you lose when you have small damage repair. Been there, done that. I'd say Wilkes is about to close in on Bruno Chacon. There's 6 seconds between them.
It is indeed. It is coming down, 4.5 seconds now the gap. Although Bruno Chacon did the fastest lap of his race so far. As Wilkes goes ahead and unlaps himself, and Vitashek has retired from the race. Oh, off into the barriers at Penthouse. Into the tyre wall there. Looks like he broke too late, locked up, and couldn't stop in time into the tyres and out of the race, unfortunately. Let me change the headphones settings back. Now I should hopefully be able to hear you again.
We can hear you.
Yep, and I'm not sure I could hear you. So, considering the gaps are quite large at the moment, let's find a goodish vantage point.
Well, large-ish. The best race you currently have is Wilkes on the rear wing of Chacon.
Well, let's go back and watch that for a little bit.
The gap is 2/10, so it's hardly going to get better.
Looks
And there he takes him.
Yeah, looks like Wilkes were a lot quicker down the straight.
Yeah.
Considering the gaps that are in the race at the moment, let's return to that trivia question that we asked earlier in the show. So, the question for those of you watching, and to you two in the booth, who won the inaugural Long Beach Grand Prix, a Formula 5000 event held on September 28th, 1975? Was it A. Brian Redman, B. Mario Andretti, or C. Al Unser?
I will attempt Brian Redman.
I would say Redman too, but wasn't he racing in the UK? I'm going to say Mario, just for the sake of it.
Very good reasons to guess either, I would say. The correct answer is A. Brian Redman.
Yay!
Presumably came over for the F5000 race and did very well.
I know he
No,
jumped
he-
back and forth. But,
He traveled back and forth. He did Formula 5000 regularly. So it's,
I will say
Yeah,
I
he
also
was
guess
probably more successful there even than in Formula One, but
he was.
I
yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't so aware that. I know he raced in the States, but wasn't sure how many times. And that.
Oh,
I don't think he did full seasons there, did he?
I think he did. Well, I've got his biography actually right next to me, but I'm not gonna read the damn thing. But I think he actually was a Formula 5000 champion there. Let me
Okay.
quickly check on that. I recommend his biography, by the way. It's quite a good one. Let's see. He actually won the Formula 5000 championship 3 times in a row, 74, 75, 76.
In the United States.
Yes, in the United States.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right, I forgot to do that ahead of the race. We'll do that in a moment here. Most is interesting indeed that he was that successful though. Either way. In terms of the points system, we did see the standings earlier. The points work in this particular way. Winning scores you 20 points, finishing second 16, third 14, fourth 12, fifth 10, sixth 8, and then from 7th to 12th it drops by 1 point, 6 points to 7th and 1 point to 12th. Additionally, 1 point is given for pole position and 1 point for the most laps led. And both finishers and non-finishers score points. So if you were to retire but still be classified in 12th, you would get that 1 point for the championship. Additionally, all rounds counts toward the championship total. Since I noticed someone asking in the broadcast chat about that particular point. So 24 laps left in this race. It's been an interesting one so far. Do you guys think we will see those that are still running all finish, or will we see further issues for drivers in this race?
Well, the temperatures were reasonably okay, so don't expect anyone to blow an engine unless they're severely mistreated.
No, we haven't seen anybody have problems with the brakes either. So I guess the main issue, but then you can get just disqualified. It's not a thing of not finishing the race. But yeah, I mean, the main problem now, especially if you're running on your own, is losing concentration and hitting a wall.
Indeed. Speaking of that, Kirsten just grazed the inside wall and heading on to Seaside Avenue. Doesn't look like he picked up any damage from that.
Fernandez, they're very aggressively lapping a car. He really doesn't want Young Team to be like confident, even if the gap is so big.
Yeah, and I will say I'm impressed by how Ruben is driving that car, considering it is crabbing on him and he's driving it at a very respectable pace, considering it's not quite handling to his liking anymore. And also in terms of the trivia question, I noticed Barry Lynn answered A, so congratulations to Barry Lynn as well for getting that trivia question right.
And who hasn't been lapped? This is second qualified. No. Okay, the top 4 are in the leading lap. So they have that concern regarding the fuel. And Giovanni Santorame is the first one who has been lapped. Sorry, the toppest one who has been lapped, and he's in 5th. From then on, some people from 8th onward. 8th is Brad Riddle. He's 2 laps down, and 9th onwards, they are 3 laps down, 4 laps down, 5 laps down. So at least, well, there is no concern regarding the fuel probably for all those guys.
No, indeed. Obviously, unless Grant runs into trouble late on in this race, but the likelihood of that, as per what we've seen so
like
far,
I said,
is
it should be the top 4, because they all have put us that many laps on the other guys.
You're indeed right about that. I suppose roughly from now on, with 20 laps to go, this is where fatigue would start to kick in as well. With the concentration levels required to be driving on these road courses and the demanding nature of these cars.
Yeah, thankfully the need to save fuel means that they are all running lower boost, so it's not so wild as it is, for example, in qualifying. The cars are not so edgy. Not that they are the easiest to handle, but it's more easy to live with them.
I mean, we've seen especially Filip Vitacek and Jon Tim looking quite ragged at times earlier in this race, being quite loose in the rear end.
Yep.
So they might be running lower boost, but in some instances they might be just using a bit too much throttle instead.
Fernandez is really catching up. He's now 4 seconds behind your team. I think the gap was bigger before.
It was up to nearly 6 seconds before.
Let me check the lap times they are doing. So John Tim, his last lap was okay, he had done some slower ones. Last one was 1:09.9. In the case of Ruben Fernandez, the last one had been 1:09.8. But yeah, on the previous ones, he was a bit more regular. There is not a big difference in the pace, though. But Ruben is slightly quicker.
We did see that earlier when Fernandez had a non-damaged car. he might finally have worked out all the quirks of that now damaged March 87C and set out to deliver some pizza up to the podium.
Mhm.
Looks to be back to just over 6 seconds now.
Yeah, and Grant, for example, last lap was 1:11, which means that he is now really taking it calmly. He wants to make it with the fuel and everything, and he knows that the gap is huge. He doesn't really have to be afraid of anything. So he's taking it easy, which I should say is sometimes quite a double-edged sword because you lower your pace to be more comfortable, and then you relax, you lose the edge, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you have crashed.
Indeed. Looks like Jon realized the danger and sped up a little bit and has pulled a bit more of a gap despite lapping a car and being unlapped here.
Yeah, that's Brian Janik unlapping himself. Interesting because, well, yeah, maybe the distance from Janik to Anders Nilsson isn't really that huge. So yeah, it makes sense that he tries to unlap himself because, well, maybe he has a chance to try to put some pressure on Anders. Otherwise, why would you unlap yourself?
Indeed. Well, it does look like
By the way, it's actually Janik who is going to put a lap on right return.
That ended up being a bit too close for comfort, though, for the two of them, I reckon.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, last lap from Brian Janik was 1.09, and as I told you, the last lap from the leader, Grant Ridal, was 1.11. So go figure how much slower he's actually going. And it's not just because of fuel, because we have seen that with his former pace in the first stint, he was able to do 47 laps. So it's just being cautious.
Indeed.
Basically the full front straight that is the difference between Brian Janik and Anders Nilsson. So with so many laps to go, I don't think you should be able to catch up. But the important thing here is being ready to capitalize on any error that could happen on the part of Anders.
Indeed. That being said, Anders is catching up. Got held up a little bit by lap traffic there, miscommunication, but Anders is currently catching up to Centorama ahead of him. Down to 4.5 seconds between them.
Yes, I think Anders may still have something in store for him.
Indeed. 3.5 seconds as they brake for turn 1. Looks like Anders has definitely decided now is the time to push. Ooh, look at that, Anders all crossed up coming off that turn. Ooh, and Centorame held up by lapped car, and someone has been in the wall. Kovac, I believe, has retired, hitting the tire barrier at Penthouse.
Yeah, and this is very much what we were talking about regarding losing concentration towards the end of the race.
Indeed. And now only 1.5 seconds between Centorame and Nilsson. Jump on board, looking back over the wing of the Sierra racing car, looking back to the March 86C of the Penske Racing entry for Anders Nilsson. Just looking how he's creeping closer and closer, especially in the curvy parts. Looks like Centorame is running slightly less wing than Nilsson, presumably. Laps to go for these two and the leader of Grand Prix. Presumably both of these guys using whatever is left in their tanks in this now battle. Both are cutting it quite fine through the concrete canyon here. It's not quite close enough to possibly go for a move there, but he might be close enough this time going into turn 1.
Yeah, for sure he's already putting pressure on him, which is half the battle.
It's interesting to see. Centorame seems to have a similar gear setup to Grand Prix there. So let's see what Anders decides to do here. He clearly has the pace in the what I would call the infield section, but with a tiny mistake there, run wide at Penthouse, but kept the speed up. Oh, over-rotated! Here comes Nilsson.
Yep.
Let's see if Centorame might decide to try and boost up here. If he has any kind of fuel left to do that kind of thing, but it doesn't look like it.
Well, I think he realizes that Nilsson was quicker, had been catching up, and This is one of those situations that, ooh, you nearly understeered there into the wall, pushing too much. But I think this is one of those situations that when you had been doing your utmost and the other car has been catching up, of course you try that to prevent him passing you and that, but if he is by, then unless all of a sudden there is a drop in rhythm or there is an error from the part of the driver in front, it is what it is. I mean, he made it stick and you probably don't have many chances of passing him back. So it's a matter of trying to keep your own rhythm, not do anything stupid, and hope that maybe he has problems or crashes or whatever. Look at that. I mean, look at the gap that he already opened.
Indeed.
So trying to force the car to pursue him is probably not the best idea. It's a matter of centering on your own pace now.
Very true. Grant now 16 seconds in the lead, cruising towards the win. Battle for 5th and 6th decided. Ryan Yannick, that almost looks like a bit of a crabbing car from that angle, but it looks okay there. Still a good gap there. Saber only 5 seconds ahead of Robin de Vos. There might be something to come of that still in this race. Depending on how much faster Robin might be at the end of the stint here. Other than that, the gaps are wide or increasing. Let's just follow Robin de Vos for a lap here and see how much he closes in or drops back from David Saber. Lackluster lapping for Robin there. Presumably, unless there's lackluster lappings for Saber, those positions look set.
Grant's lead is down to 15 seconds. It had been up to 22. That shows you how small, how slow he is making it right now.
Indeed. Really.
It's interesting because, as we have said, he has legs to do it on the field, as we have seen in the first stint. So, anyway, it's only 5 laps left, so understandably he wants to play it safe.
Indeed. Looks like Jules Bouchard into the pits for some repairs. I noticed the front wing on the track. Seems to be Bouchard's, unfortunately. Whereas Kirsten does the fastest lap of the race, a 1:08.4. I believe roughly 2/10 quicker than the fastest lap Grant has done so far. 13 seconds the difference. I do believe it's a bit, just a bit too late to pull that kind of pace out of the car, but we'll have to wait and see. But either way, it's been an absolutely incredible drive by Grant tonight.
Yeah, very, very dominant. I think with this Grant will get a nice tally of points, because if he gets the win, he for sure will get also pole position, 1 extra point, and another extra point for most laps left in the race, which is nice.
So 22 points in one fella swoop.
Yep.
Which will go very nicely with the no points scored in the first round for him. So that means he'll be able to catch up quite a lot to Yannick, who is leading. And I believe he's the best placed along with Jon Tim. Jon Tim scored some good points as well last time out.
That's correct.
So I think the difference at the front will be some give or take around maybe 4 or 5 points between the top 3 after this race, if it ends as it stands right now.
Well, Brian is in 7th, is he? 7th, 6th? 7th means 6 points, so he will have 26. Grant Ridal will get 22 more, that's 24. And then Jon Tim should be getting his 3rd now, right? 28. He might be the new leader, actually.
Indeed, he would score 12 points, he would have 28 indeed. It'll be very tight either way at the front.
Yeah, very nice. Interesting.
As I believe we'll have 2 laps left as Grant crosses the start-finish line this time by.
Right, that's 94 laps completed.
So even the last lap this.
I think so. No, Gran Turismo. No, okay, he's in.
No,
94.
2 more laps.
2 more laps.
2 more laps, yes.
That's correct. The graphics, there we are. I never learn with Automobilista which way it counts laps.
No, it's a bit confusing because you see it in in up there. It tells you the lap in which the driver is, but then when you look at the standings, he really tells you how many laps have been covered. But you see, is the lap that you are completing is the one that you see down below the time.
Indeed. Gap 8 seconds as they head towards the final lap then. Here he comes to start the final lap of this race.
Yep, still yes.
Niklas closes. It's indeed.
Oh yeah, it's only 7 seconds. It's amazing how Grant has been slowing down so much, but it's everything so calculated, so strategic, because he obviously has more than enough room. Take the checkered flag only, and he's indeed right now at the hairpin. So one more time coming out of here, and he's now oops. Yeah, there you go.
Celebrating
That's
early.
A happy man.
As here he comes across the start-finish line to take the win here at the Toyota Grand Prix at Long Beach for Renault Racing. Congratulations, Grant. Second will be Niklas Kirsten, who just went by. And now we're just waiting for the other 2 cars on the lead lap. who were quite a bit behind the leading duo. So 6.2 seconds were the gap in the end between Grant and Niklas.
Grant is doing some donuts there.
Understandable. Here comes Jonatan out of the hairpin. And he seems happy to finish third here tonight. Across the line he comes, and not too far behind is Ruben Fernandez with his damaged car. Finishes fourth.
Very good drive there with the damaged car, so some points in
Indeed.
him.
And
Anders already collected fifth.
Yep.
Giovanni sixth, Brian Janik seventh, Brian Vidal eighth, David Saber ninth, Robin DeVos 10th, David Wadman 11th. Richard Wilkes managed to finally bring the car to 12th position, Bruno Chacon 13th, Simon Watman in the very old car 14th, Ergeli Kovacs is 15th, 16th for Jules Bouchard, 17th for Philip Wistesen.
Witasek indeed.
Yeah, okay, those were not finished, but we will see, depending on the amount of laps covered, if they have been able to score or not.
Other retirees were Nicolas Hillebrand, Alberto Quino, Juha Bos, Rob de Vries, Keo Michiels, Salvatore Sregnano, Austin Birchfield, and Jason White.
And I have to leave you now, guys. It was an interesting race to watch, and I'll be with you in the booth again, hopefully, for the next race, which is going to be Portland.
Great.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for the help tonight. So, quite the attritionally and hectically race this one, but good one to watch either way.
Oh, definitely. Would have preferred to get a bit longer in it, but
fully understandable, you are. Let's see, doesn't look like anyone is on their way, so to end off the broadcast, any final thoughts or reflections after this Toyota Grand
I'm
Prix?
looking forward to Portland. That's a nice track to race at, so hopefully with a bit more luck.
Well, one positive aspect is the fact that there's a bit more space around that track.
As it does tend to help.
And it's going to be, like you say, in my view, a great racetrack to watch the cars go around at. Always provides some good racing, and the what I would call sector 1 and 2 are very interesting, and then the fast blast through sector 3 will be great fun to watch. So with that, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you to all our drivers for putting on a great show, some good racing, and thank you to both Juha and Alberto for joining me in the booth for this one. Until next week, when we are coming back for the DRM 79 Championship. Have a great week, take care of yourselves, and be kind to each other. Have a great time, and good night.